Good morning, dear students. I hope all of you are doing well. So, today we are going to start a new chapter, and the name of the chapter is Materials. So, in this chapter, basically, we are going to talk about metals as well as non metals. So, what are metals, what are non metals, what are the characteristics of metal, that is physical as well as chemical characteristics, what are the uses. We are going to discuss all about this, and the same for the non metal as well. So let us start the chapter. So there are more than 100 of elements so far. Till today, uh, there are more than 100 elements have been discovered so far. The earlier non-metal known to man are carbon and sulfur. So these two are the very old non-metal that was known to man. Later on, new different types of non-metal as well as metal came into picture. Some of these elements behave in different from with that of the other element. So the characteristics of one element is different from the characteristics of other element. If you take the example of iron and carbon, iron is a metal, carbon is non-metal. They do have different characteristics. So whatever the amount of or the number of elements that have been discovered so far, they do have different characteristics. Okay. The elements can be classified according to their behavior. On the basis of their properties, all the elements can be divided into two groups. So depending upon their behavior, depending upon their characteristics, properties, whatever the number of elements that have been discovered so far can be categorized or can be divided into two groups. First one is metal, second one is non-metal. So metal and non-metal. But there are also elements which have some properties of metal and some non-metal. They are known as metalloids. So broadly, all the elements can be categorized into two groups. One is metal, one is non-metal. But there are certain elements that show some characteristics of metal as well as some characteristics of non-metal. If I give an example, suppose this circle includes metal, this circle includes non-metal. So here, this middle portion, the element lies here, it has some characteristics of metal as well as some characteristics of non-metal. So here we can say that this is metalloid. So about metalloid we will discuss in the coming classes. So what are the examples of metalloid? Antimony, arsenic, tellurium. So these examples you should remember. These are usually asked in the exam. So metals and non-metals are used for making tools. Why it is used for? It is used for making tools, machines, automobile like car, bus, house, jewelry, utensil, etc. The gold is a metal. It is used for making jewelry. Okay, so iron is used for making houses and all that. So these are some of the metals and non-metals. So on the basis of chemical reaction, metals are the element which form positive ion by losing electron. As you know that an element is made up of electron, proton and neutron. Proton and neutron are present at the center of the atom and electron revolve around it. So metal give positive ion. So the number of proton and number of electron are equal. Proton is positively charged, electron is negatively charged. Suppose in an element there are 5 proton, there will be 5 electron. Okay, so these two number proton and electron is always same. So metal always form positive ion by losing electron. Metal lose electron, it give its electron and become positively charged particle. On the other hand, non-metals are the elements which form negatively ion by gaining electron. So if we take an example, suppose sodium and chlorine. Sodium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. Sodium leave one of its ion to chlorine and become positively charged. Chlorine receive one of the ion and become negatively charged and they become sodium chloride. the salt that we eat, sodium chloride. Okay, this is how the reaction takes place. Now, physical properties of metal as well as non-metal. Metals, there are about 91 metals. All of these have certain common physical properties. Various physical properties which enable us to distinguish metal and non-metals. What are the physical properties? Let's see. As you can see, metals are very strong. Okay, important properties of metal. Their metallic luster means they have luster, the signs. They conduct electricity. They are malleable means they can be converted into thin sheet. Okay. They are ductile. Ductile means you can convert metal into wire like copper, aluminium, copper wire, aluminium wire. Their melting point is very high. Okay. And they produce sound. That means they are sonorous in character. Okay. Now, here the first one is state. All metals are in solid at room temperature. Only mercury is a metal in liquid form. So all the metals, there are 91 metals. 90 metals are in solid state at room temperature, means around 30 degree. Mercury is the only metal that is present in the liquid state in room temperature. The color metals usually have a silver or gray color. Metallic luster. Metal in the pure state generally shine and can be polished. It generally shine and it can be polished. They shine on the metallic surface called metallic luster. Then hardness. Metals are generally hard like iron, except some which are soft like potassium and sodium. Usually metal are hard, but there are some exceptions always like potassium, sodium. These we can cut potassium and sodium with the help of a knife also. Then density. What is density? Density is mass per unit volume. In 1 unit volume, what is the mass? That is called density. Metals have high densities. The density is very high. The density of a substance is a measure how heavy is it. Suppose you take a piece of wood and same size of iron. Iron will be heavier than wood. Why? Because density of iron is more. So according to density, metals are divided into two groups, light metal and heavy metal. Metals like sodium, potassium are so light that can be even float on water. Okay. The last one is malleability. Some metals can be beaten into thin sheet. Malleability means you can convert it into thin sheet with hammer without breaking. It will not going to be broken. You can convert it into thin sheet. The property of metal is called malleability. That means malleability is the property of metal through which it can be converted into thin sheet. Gold and silver are those malleable metal. They can be hammered. You can convert gold and silver into thin sheet. Okay. They can be hammered into very thin sheet. Silver foils are used for decorating sweets. As you can see that in over the sweets, silver foils are used to decorate it. So it can be converted into that much thin sheet. Aluminum foil are used for wrapping of medicines and chocolates. Aluminum wrappers are used for wrapping food items. Okay. Next one is ductility. Ductility is the property by virtue of which metal can be drawn into wires. Like you must have seen copper wire, iron wire, nichrome wire, all these are wires. So these property is known as ductility. If you have a bunch of copper, you can cover it, you can convert it into a very long wire. That is called ductility. So gold, silver are the best ductile metals. Copper and aluminum are also drawn into wire and used in electric wiring. Okay. Next one is conductivity. This one everyone knows. All metals conduct heat and electricity. That means heat and electricity can pass through metal. Their very good conductors of electricity are silver, copper and aluminum. Okay. Silver is used for electrical contact in computer. Mercury is worst conductor of heat. Heat do not flow through mercury. Okay. Then sonority means the production of sound. Metals are generally sonorous. They make shining sound when we strike them. In a school bell, we use metals. Okay. Therefore, they are used for making bells. Metals wires being used in musical instruments such as sitar, guitar. In guitar, you must have been playing sitar. Here, metals wire are used. It produces sound with the help of these wires. Then melting point and boiling point. Metals have generally high melting point and boiling point. However, sodium and potassium have low melting point. Okay. Now this is all about metal, and let us come to non-metal. The non-metal is approximately about the opposite of metal. What are characteristics of metal? Non-metal shows the opposite characteristics of metal. Let us see. There are about 17 non-metal. There were about 91 metal, but number of non-metals are 17. Their physical properties are, first one is physical state. The there three physical state of matter in which non-metal exist are solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, non-metal can be either solid, it can be liquid, or it can be gas. The physical properties of non-metal are opposite to that of metal, as I just told you. Okay, so what are the examples? Carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, etc. are solid non-metal. Bromine is liquid non-metal. Remember this one, important. Oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen are gaseous non-metal. Next one is luster. Non-metal do not have luster. Okay, they have dull appearance, but some exceptions as graphite, diamond, iodine have crystal sign. Okay. In malleability, you cannot convert non-metal into thin sheet. Ductility, no, not possible. You cannot make thin wires. Conductivity, no, poor conductors of heat and electricity, except graphite. Okay. Melting point, they have low melting point. Metal have high, non-metal have low. Hardness, non-metals are usually soft, except diamond, which is the hardest known non-metal. Non-metals are brittle, that means they can be easily broken. When hammered, they break into pieces. Then sonorous, non-metal are non-sonorous, as metals were sonorous. Okay. Now you can see this is a copper wire through which electricity can pass. Okay. Now here are some of the properties of metals and non-metals have been combined. Characteristics: physical state, metal solid. All the metals are in solid state except mercury. Non-metal, all the non-metal are either in solid, gaseous, except bromine, which is in liquid state. Conductivity, they are good conductor of electricity, they are poor conductor. Density, this is high density, low density. Ductility, these are ductile, these are non-ductile. Hardness, they are hard. Okay, except soft, except sodium and potassium are soft. They are soft except diamond. Luster, these are lustrous, they are non-lustrous except diamond and iodine. Malleability, these are malleable, these are non-malleable and brittle. Melting point and boiling point, this is high, this is low. Sonority, this is sonorous, this is non-sonorous. Tensile strength, high tensile, low tensile. Tensile means, suppose this is a body, you are pulling this body like this, you are trying to stretch the body. So this strength is known as tensile strength. Compressive means you are compressing it. Okay, like this. This is compressive. Okay, so this is all about the class. In the next class, we will continue this chapter. Okay. If you have any doubt, you are feel free to ask me. Thank you and have a nice day.